Well, it seemed like all of a sudden everybody got quiet for a second, so I'm going to take advantage of that little bit of a lull. So, welcome. It's nice to see such a nice crowd. Fable, I think I can do better than that. Maybe it's the pressure of being literally 10 feet away from a wordsmith. I'm also a stutterer. I'm actually what's known as a covert stutterer, which means we trip through words that we know are our trick words and say those to avoid the ones that are going to take us off. So I'm going to use that skill. Let's say it's fabulous to see a committed and interested group here tonight. That's a better start. So thank you. My name is Dale Robertson. I'm with the Grand Rapids Public Museum. And this partnership here is really part of something that started really kind of, well, what's the word, maybe organically, called GR Stories. And it was informed by an event that occurred maybe back in February. It was Zoom then. It was all virtual event called The History of Grand Rapids in Black and Brown. And it was Randall Jelks, Todd Robinson, and Delia Fernandez. And it was fabulous. And it's still on the museum YouTube someplace. You could still see it. And one of the takeaways, there were many, was they were talking about just the lack of really resources, stories, for their research, right? So that's swimming around in our minds, and Tony Baker and I were having a conversation, and you know, it's a wonderful way sometimes how things just happen in life, right? Christina Arnold comes along, and hey, and we begin to this conversations about just the power of narrative and stories. And so we then put together a little group, and Tony's gonna introduce them, but Fable is part of that group. And from there, we said, okay, we need to put some things together, collect stories, and the Grand Rapids Public Museum, our collections, right, are all on, well, they're all being put online. There's 250,000 artifacts and specimens, so it's like the never-ending project, right? All online, all free. Now, we had some stories, some video of Native American residents that were part of when we did the Anishinaabe exhibit some years ago. So that was this learning, yeah, not everything has to be an object, right? And with the digital age, we can of course collect objects, but we can also collect stories in any kind of form and put those then into the database too, where then they are free and accessible at any time. So the idea would be is that we would make as a publicly owned entity, right, this database of information that we heard from the three authors that we had that there just wasn't enough of, collect that, put that in there, and then that is a resource then for others to build on that and tell their own stories and ideally share it back with us, right, so it continues to grow. Now, of course, we want to continue to collect the artifacts and so forth too, to have those, because there is power in being in the presence of the real thing. But here's where I think it really becomes important and key, right, is that every one of those artifacts and specimens, yeah, they're cool in of itself, but what makes it powerful and what makes it valuable and what makes it connect is the stories that are attached to each one of those artifacts. And then that leads into narrative. Right? Narrative is really how we order our lives. In fact, it's how we really make decisions for ourselves is narrative. And so all of that is going to come together into this GR Stories project. We did one, the first one after we sort of called it GR Stories was just a few weeks ago. It was a history of the Polish halls. And it was a very similar kind of setup to this. And we hope to be doing more. And so thank you for being here. Thank you for coming. Leave it to Fable to label this, right, the why, of the 49507 project, the wordsmith that he is, the why. And we'll get into that tonight as soon as I turn it over to Tony Baker, who will then say a few words and then introduce Marcel and the whole panel. So that's just a little bit of background and context and so forth. So thank you for being here and all coming together here tonight.
I'm going to hopefully be even briefer because, as Dale and I know, that nobody came here tonight to hear us. But I do want to say that, I mean, one thing that I want to say about Dale Robertson and the Public Museum, and Dale and I have worked together in different ways, especially with Grand Rapids Public Schools, is that Dale has the community, and actually I had this experience with Jamil. I don't know where Jamil is right now. But Jamil came to me, he was upset about something that was at the Public Museum. This is years and years ago, you might not even remember it. And I said, well, let's go tell Dale to fix it. And so the idea of it is that we have to take ownership of the Public Museum because the Public Museum is our museum and the people in the city have to tell their stories, otherwise it's not a relevant museum. And so we started this GR Stories project. I just want to mention some other names. Obviously Marcel and Dale and myself and Tommy Allen, who is here, and Juan Olivares, who is not here. Chris Arnold is not here. Charles Honey, you might know him from, he actually wrote an article on the Diatribe. He writes for the Kin School Services Network. Alex Forrest. I always am afraid to list names because I'm going to forget anybody. The idea of this, though, is that this is not a group of people who are telling the stories of Grand Rapids or the people of Grand Rapids. This is a group of people who are trying to find ways to get other people to tell their stories. And who tells the story is the most important part of it. And in a way of introducing Fable, who I think that most of you, hopefully all of you know, I met Fable 3 or 4 years ago at my house. My wife, Stacy, invited Fable to our house for a party because she wanted me to meet him, and she thought that we would connect. And so ever since I met him, I have been trying to find ways to connect. And so by bringing him to Grand Rapids Public Schools, by being a part of this, and bringing him into the GR Stories project, and helping to tell the stories. And this 49507 project, I think, has transformed the way we communicate who we are as a city. And with that, I want to go ahead and turn it over to Fable.
How are you all doing tonight? I need a little bit more energy than that. I know y'all got a lot of food in your mouth, but I want to feel how you all are doing. How are you all doing? You guys are out and about and in front of people. Fantastic. So for those that do not know, my name is Marcel Price, or Fable. I am the executive director of a nonprofit organization. I used to say a little nonprofit organization, but it's growing really fast, called the Diatribe. You're going to figure out a little bit about who we are and what we do. What you're not going to figure out, because it has nothing to do with this project, is before the pandemic, we were doing about 30 school programs a year. After school programs, workshops, assemblies, one-off school programs. We do a ton of work with a ton of incredible young people. A lot of you all who are here came to our mural activations, our pop-ups that were these really intentional, really tight-knit pop-ups to really curate and like unveil these murals that are all throughout corners of our neighborhood. But one thing that you might not know is that to start off this whole project, we did this program called Writing to Right Wrongs. And it's in partnership with the Fair Housing Center of West Michigan. And we go into schools and we teach young people about gentrification, about redlining, about their housing rights. And it's a 9-week program that is probably one of my favorite programs. But one thing that you'll notice is that if you came to every one of our mural unveilings, is that we start off each event with what we're really rooted in, which is creative writing, expression, storytelling. So we're going to do nothing different tonight, because I feel like that's, of course, how we set the tone and really set the mood of who we are. And, of course, the way that we do it every time is we have dynamic young people come up and share. And this brilliant human being, Miss Delar Noble, is a dynamic human that we met at Godwin Heights High School. And man, there's certain young people who they just get it because their worldview is rooted in it. And when we are talking about our neighborhood and when we're talking about our community, this young person is like, yo, this is my neighborhood, first off. And second of all, here's how I feel about it. And here are the things that I've seen. And like, this is how I know gentrification's real because this is how it ties into my experience. And this is the work that my family does. And it was just so much information that was so groundbreaking to hear. But also when we were like, hey, who in here wants to continue to speak? Who in here wants to continue to get involved? This is a human being who wants to. And I know that we have a lot of community leaders in here. We have a lot of people who are about elevating dynamic young people's voices. So I really want to plant that seed. Hey, community leaders, if you are blown away by what this young person has to say, please connect with her. Please continue to nurture these brilliant, free, liberated-minded young people that we have. Because they are going to be what makes our city what we truly all want and desire it to be in the future. Everybody, please, no pressure. Make a whole bunch of noise for Miss Delar Noble. Delara, everybody. Oh, 1 second. I think you're right. You know, I'm going to swap it. Make life easy.
All right. I have never spoken to a microphone, so I'm going to try. And if I look at the paper, please forgive me. I don't have this memorized. So I just want to start off by saying the Diatribe changed me in a way that not a lot of things can. When they came in, I thought it was just going to be like a disruption to my social studies class. But I actually ended up really getting into what they were talking about. Like when they said, you know, pull out your notebook, take some notes. They were highlighted, they were in color. I don't write in color. So for them to just come and create a new outlet for me was groundbreaking. So I just want to say that. I'm gonna start with this poem that I wrote like a few days ago. So, yeah. This poem is called POV. What would I give to be brown like you? To have skin like you? To have hair like you? What would I give to be strong like you? To be great in the faces of adversity like you? To smile when it rains, to be brave like you? What would I give to eat food like you? To dress like you? To have a deep-rooted culture like you? What would you give? Would you give your privilege? Would you tarnish your name? Would you put your life on the line? Could you stand to live in fear? To be like me, you have to face the oppressors. You have to take a stand, not just in silence, but in the media. You have to face the backlash from the news and the politics, even after you've been slain and can't defend yourself. To be like me, you have to suffer at the hands of the system that was created to stand against me. You have to pull your way from the deep depths of the ghetto, black, and broke stereotypes. You have to fight through the malicious, ignorant, uneducated people that lie on every corner. To be like me, you have to have the strongest heart and a stronger mind. So this next poem is one I actually wrote for class last year. It took me like a week and a half to write it. I just couldn't get it right, but I finally got it. It's called A Recipe for Justice. Justice. Where should I begin? No. Where could I begin? Because with all the wrongs scratched out and replaced with positive stickers, it seems like there'll never be none. The land we live on was designed to take everything fair away from us. They give us just enough to feel equal, but any disagreement and we're at the bottom of the chain. With all the souls that ache with unjust, the ones who fought for hope but only got half, the ones who died at the hands of the hatred that this forsaken country is built on, we bleed the need for justice. Please bear with me as we make this recipe. We need 1 pound of equality, 2 cups raw freedom, an equal amount of pay, and at least an ounce of respect from the majority for the peoples whose lives have been changed, taken, and hidden behind an inaccurate summary. It needs to be put in political offices, local, district, and federal, until we finally decide on what the solution will be to right the wrongs and condescending solutions thrown together by people in our past. This isn't between Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. Minority lives matter.
Let's hear it one more time. Oh my gosh. This is why right here. Like, I love hearing the voice of the youth. Like, that is so empowering and inspiring to hear how they view our world, right? All right, so now we are going to do a panel. We have Angela here from the Garfield Park Neighborhood Association, and she's going to be asking us a couple of questions. After the questions, then we will open up for a Q&A session. And after that, we do invite you to please stop by the tables in the back. We have our Diatribe shirts, and we have Octavia and Isan selling some of their artworks.
Hello, everyone. Oh, yeah, please, a chair. I was the one that fell out of the chair earlier. Yeah, it was me. It was me. Yeah, I'm with Garfield Park Neighborhoods Association, and I also, well, Fable pulled me into this project to do some of the grant writing for it in the beginning, so this project has really grown into something fantastic and fantabulous. I'm gonna use that word. But yeah, I'm here to talk about the why, and your panel is also here. They're going to answer some questions, but before we get into that, I know that documentary was a little heavy, so if we could do like a group community breath. So I'm gonna count to 3, and when I count to 3, you're gonna breathe as deep as you can, and then after that, I'm gonna say release, and you can just release all of that anxiety, anything that might still be in your body. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, release. Did that feel good? Want to do it one more time? Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3. All right, release. All right, awesome, thank you. Okay, now before we get into this, I would like all of you to introduce yourselves. So we'll go one by one, and everyone will introduce themselves with their name, their pronouns, and then what role that you played in this project.
I'm Octavia. My pronouns are she and her, and I am a muralist. My mural is located at the Southeast Market.
My name is Candy, pronouns she and her, and I am the project manager for the 49507 project.
Hi, I'm Lamar Speedy Casey. I was the community outreach for the project. Yeah, that's it.
My name is Marcel Fable Price, pronouns he, him. I am the executive director of the Diatribe.
Hello, my name is Henry Pena. Pronouns are he and him. I'm a local business owner with one of the art murals was done at.
Hello, my name is Esan Summersell. I'm one of the artists on the project, and yeah, that's.
My name is Daryl Ross. I'm a local business owner, and I'm a business or a building owner on one of the projects.
Awesome. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. And I just want to remind everyone that after my formal questions, you all will have a chance to do a Q&A as well and ask any questions that you need answered or want answered as well. All right. So the first question goes to you, Fable. Tell us about the journey in coming up with this incredible project, and how did the project take shape? What was your inspiration?
Wow. So the project came to light really, we saw all right, I'm gonna be candid. After Breonna Taylor and George Floyd were murdered, we saw the way that Grand Rapids responded. There were huge protests, some of the biggest in our city's history, and that was beautiful. After the protests took place, when some of us were downtown in the after hours, we saw some of our students down there getting tear gas shot at them and rubber bullets, and that started to spark a lot of anger. And then after that, we saw a lot of windows starting to get boarded up that weren't broken, which felt like people were really trying to protect their investments. And it also showed us that why are people boarding up windows that weren't even broken in the first place? And then we saw a lot of people paid and drastically underpaid to do a lot of art downtown. And it was an opportunity that could have been about Black and brown grieving. And there were a group of people, some dynamic young Black and brown artists that were way underpaid to do that lift and under-resourced to do that lift. And I think the worst part about them being drastically underpaid is that also some of the people that controlled that funding started to say things like, no Black Lives Matter being painted on buildings. And again, it was an opportunity that could have been something so transformative that was robbed from a lot of people. And then afterwards, there was a lot of protests continuing, and there were people who were getting banned from Rosa Parks Circle. I don't know how you ban Black and brown people from a place called Rosa Parks Circle. But then again, after all of that, we started to think to ourselves, man, what would a radical liberated art project look like? And then we started to realize that we alone couldn't come up with that. That young people had to come up with that community members had to come up with that. And that's where it began with programming with young people and doing Writing to Right Wrongs at 3 different schools at Ottawa and a bunch of other schools. And then we did listening sessions. And a lot of times in Grand Rapids, when it comes to listening sessions, if you work in the nonprofit sector, it's a bunch of the same nonprofit professionals being given keys and then trying to get a bunch of people. And we're like, let's get real Grand Rapidians. Let's get like real people and pay them to do real work and do real community outreach. So then we're talking to real people, and then it bloomed from there and became what it is now.
Wow. Wow, thank you. Thank you so much for that really incredible, deep response. And it's so beautiful to see, like, yeah, what came out of that. And the next question, I think you've already answered, but how could a project rooted in uplifting the community be one that also came as a response to police violence? That's you again. But
Yeah, I guess different people might have different answers in this. I mean, I won't speak for Daryl, but you heard Daryl talking about things that have been systemic and happening in our community for a long time. But I think, again, public art should really be directed by the public, right? For a long time, in different cities all across America, you'll have murals popping up in neighborhoods, and the community has no idea about the mural coming and doesn't have any say in it. And in Grand Rapids, especially in our neighborhood in the 49507, but all across the southeast and southwest side, you don't only have huge issues with police and with law enforcement, but you also have huge issues with gentrification. And one thing that Esan said in one of our listening sessions, he's like, it's a shame that our neighborhoods don't look like we live here. So we thought to ourselves, all right, how can we make the neighborhood look like we live here? How can we work with predominantly black and brown artists? How can we work on predominantly black and brown businesses? But also, how can we make the art stand for something and speak for something that will continue to let people know and passersby know and people who are trying to develop and buy up our neighborhood know who lives here and what we stand for, and hopefully try to get them to keep who lives here living here along the process. So I think that how can it be a response to a moment? It's actually trying to be intentional with every step of the process, and using the right resources, and trying to be intentional with who is involved and what it stands for every step of the way, and understanding that you can still make mistakes that we'll hopefully try to make better, but also understanding that every step of the way really making it stand for something in a way that we haven't done in a lot of ways when it comes to public art in our city.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. We also only have 30 minutes, so if you want to hold your applause after every question, that'd be great. But the next question is for everyone. Anyone here can answer this question. Can you tell us more about how your own personal experiences with racism, oppression, redlining has shaped your role in this project?
I mean, I come from a background of, I still live in this neighborhood. I bought the house I grew up in from my parents. So I just remember the days where I'd be right around the corner headed home, and I got pulled over, and it was like 6 guns drawn on me by police officers. And I think those moments, which were many for my friends, myself, and it just kind of makes this project a lot more, because now it's like you see me out there painting from all hours of the day and you can't stop me, and this is mine. This is something that I get to pass on to, to my family, to people that walk around and see it, which, I've had plenty of conversations with people that I've known, grew up with, and, the generation that is coming up now having conversations with me about how I'm doing this, and I'm able to give back and just kind of push the narrative and change it at the same time. So just going from like dealing with certain things that we have to deal with in this community to being able to do what I do and cherish that, it's a big step. It's crazy to think that, like, yeah, that happened years and years ago, to me, that incident specifically, but it could still happen today, and it could be worse. So it's a very big step and a great distance, and yeah, that's just how I feel about that. That's what made me want to do it. So.
Yeah. Thank you. I want to honor your vulnerability there. That was awesome. Thank you.
I think this project definitely kind of gave me a voice that I didn't really know I had, or maybe I did and I wasn't really listening. It forced me to like stand within it and just be like, I belong here, and I'm gonna put my art here. You're gonna look at it, it's bold, it's bright, it reflects history correctly. It reflects historical figures that stood for something and stood for everyone, who were targeted because they believed in equality and freedom. So I just want to thank the Diatribe for believing in me and showing me I can believe in myself and I belong here.
Thank you.
For me, I feel like this project came to me at kind of like a transitional standpoint in my life where I knew I was, I had left my 9 to 5, like I just can't do that work no more. And I knew that I wanted to, I've worked so many years in community, directly with community, servicing people one-on-one for so long. And I just knew that though that work may change their day-to-day life, it's not gonna change the systemic issues that we have going on, right? And in order to make real change, that's where we have to start at from the top. And I left my 9 to 5 because I knew that I wanted to do more macro level work. And I really didn't know what that could look like or what that even meant. And so coming on to this project, I was like, yes, this is it. This is like, this is like the macro level work that I wanted to do, you know, like be able to put community's voice first, which is one of my biggest passions, and to be able to show everyone around us that we are here and this is ours, and we have a stake here, and we actually love being here, and we believe in our neighborhood, and we care for it, despite of what everyone else believes.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, over my lifetime living here in Grand Rapids, I'm definitely, when it comes to the racism, especially police intimidation and brutality, like I can name at least 5 times police have had guns aimed at me for absolutely no reason. You know what I'm saying? And that's over 10 years ago. You know, so I got stories and days and days and days about the things I've seen in this city. So anytime I can do something to represent the voices in my community, you know, it's a blessing. Like at the time, before I even got a part of the project, I was honestly praying for an opportunity to come my way for me to be involved with something going on in the community. I was really, I don't know, I think I told you before when you first put me down with it, but I was really praying for something to come my way for me to be involved in it, and it fell right in my lap in the weirdest way, you know, how it's supposed to have. I ain't gonna say the weirdest way, but I definitely want to say thank you to Marcel for letting me be a part of this, and being able to be a part of, you know, everything that we did. It's amazing. And when I was doing the community outreach, just hanging posters or whatever, just talking to people and seeing the looks on their face, just like, wow, this is actually happening, you know, in our city. Okay, you know, that was real dope, you know. So definitely shout out to the whole Diatribe, and, you know, I hope that we can continue to keep this going. You know, I don't know if this guy do it the question. I've lost train of thought, but you know, it was definitely, yeah, for sure. That's what I want to say.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all for your answers. Yeah, snaps are good. Snaps are good. All right, now we're gonna go to the artists. This is a question directly for the artists. So Isan and Octavia, right? What
Isan?
is? Oh,
Isan.
Isan, sorry. Isan and Octavia. Was this your first time doing a mural of this scale? And then did you enjoy it, and what were your unique challenges?
I was just thrilled to be a part of the project, but yes, this is my first like large scale physical art. I have to say it was just exciting to see like the work every day and to put in the work and to like have people stop you and they're like, wow, this is amazing. Or people take pictures, like it's completely heartwarming. It's like, wow, you want to take pictures, you want to put this on your social media, you want to bring eyes to this project, like that's super important. And it felt good to have the community embrace my work. I literally took the project and bought a house down the street in the zip code. So I just want to thank my partner for hanging in there with me. He definitely like helped me paint and stayed with me like late at night. So it was a very beautiful process, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. Yeah.
Wait. Where's your mural at?
The Southeast Market.
Awesome.
Hi again. This wasn't my first mural project, but it was the first mural project that I felt was handled successfully, and by that I mean I felt like I mattered, I was cared for. You know, we had all the amenities we needed to to make the project come to fruition, and it just it felt really good. They paid for all the supplies, and you know, they paid for people to come out and help get the walls done. I mean, what, you know, it's just like going to work and they pretty much have you pressing one button. So it just really gave me the space I needed to just fully work on the art, and that's what mattered, is to make the best of it, to really go out there and kill it. You get a chance to see mine. It's right on Eastern, right off of Eastern at the Grab Hub. So you get a chance, get out there, check it out. Like it's amazing, trust me. But like I said, it was the first mural I got a chance to do that was done right. It was the first mural that I spent a lot of time on, put a lot of effort into, from start to finish, and being able to work with the building owner Jamil. It was a blessing, because now I get to, you know, to build with him as well, and I think that's what the project should be about, is like making connections. So all of the people I spoke with at the mural, I've given my contact out too many times, so I might get a call from somebody and not know who it is, but that's the love. It was a lot of love there, and I just want to continue to be a part of this, to be able to give that love back, because I got so much to give. So.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna have you pick up that microphone one more time. And answer, what do you hope that people will feel from your piece?
I thought you was gonna have me freestyle or something.
You could do that too.
I was ready for that. I thought you was gonna hit the beat or something, but
If you want.
what's the question again? I was ready, I just, you know.
It's okay. We're freestyling right now.
Okay,
What do you hope people will feel when they see your mural, your piece?
I mean, the same thing we just felt just now, you know, with that joke. We just laugh and just have a good time. I want you to take that with you and just know that, you know, that's you. Like, pretty much, like, the biggest inspiration for the project is, like, I got tired and bored of seeing, like, memorials. That's what I call them. Usually when you see a mural of somebody's face, they're dead. You know, so you got to think about the next generations coming around. You're like, well, I want a picture of myself, and if they know the only way they got to be there is to you know, be dead and gone, that's not a good, you know, that's a very dramatic outlook for somebody coming up. So all the people that I painted are alive and well. They're here. You can get them their roses while they're here now. You can go up to them and say, I know that smile. You know, it's really, that's what I want to promote, is just let's honor the living. Let's honor the people that are here. Let's honor the people that are doing things in the community, that are making changes right now, that are easily accessible, like me. You can, like I said, I give my number to any one of y'all. You can call me, you know, I might pick up, we could chat. I want to promote that community essence, and I think this project, like, definitely spoke on that on many different aspects. So.
Awesome, thank you. And same question for you as well. What do you hope that people get from your piece or feel from your piece?
So my piece has a lot of positive affirmations, and I want people to say those words to themselves, like grow, bloom, give yourself your flowers, power to the people. We're not free until we're all free. I want people to remember and, like, see themselves in those figures as well. Like, that's our culture, that's our history, and it's the history we often do not see in the textbooks. And I just want like the youth to look up and say, this is my ideal world.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, yeah.
So, I do want to add that this mural definitely is about Black generational wealth, and that's important because a lot of the generation coming up, they're not thinking about buying houses or buying property or starting businesses, and that's kind of what I want people. That's what I want people to take from that is creating equity, creating things that can be passed down, and that can help our families out. Because it's what a lot of white families are doing. It's not a lot of hear a lot of stories about Black people creating wealth for their future generations, and also to promote generational good health too, good mental health. And so that's what I want you to take away from it if you go out and see it too. I wanted to say that because that's very important.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. And if you haven't seen those two murals or any of the murals, make sure you go out and check them out. There's a flyer with all of the addresses and locations somewhere around here, so you can go grab that flyer, right in the back there, and check out these murals, take pictures, smile with them, promote them, put them on social media, Instagram, all the things, so, yeah. And now we're gonna move on to the business owners. I know Henry is excited about these questions. How has the project impacted how the community engages with your business? And either one of the business owners can take that.
In our case, it's been day and night. I mean, I think art is transformational in a way that you can't really do in other mediums, right? So we knew it was going to be about race, we knew it was going to be about equity, we knew it was going to be about history. But as far as like the impact on the corner, it's been night and day. I mean, we're literally talking, one day you have people literally selling drugs and defecating, the next day, kids are showing up after church taking pictures and cars are stopping. So, I mean, just the instant impact of the art and the message has been so well received. And again, way more transformational than any historical sticks and bricks or engagement project. So again, I think it just speaks to the ability of art to speak to things and do things in that equity and advocacy space that you really can't get in other places.
Wow, yeah, thank you.
So for us, retail is pretty hard. You got to make sure someone's laughing or smiling when they come in, and most of the time that's not happening. Now, they're walking in, they're in awe. They're like, what is this art that you have outside? It's like a great conversation starter, and they're already in a great mood now. Versus before, we're doing old song and dance to try to make sure we ourselves have a good experience. So definitely been a great response. People just kind of walk in just smiling and saying, who did this? What is this all about? And it just gives us pride just to even explain what project this is.
Yeah, wow, thank you. And I'm gonna have you pick up that microphone again as well and ask another question. What do you want people to know about your business? Not personal, but actual business.
Oh, well, I'm single. No. Just about our business, basically, we provide low-end to high-end cell phones. We provide prepaid unlimited service. It's anywhere from $15 a month to $60 a month. So anybody that's looking for a cell phone, come check us out. We're right on the corner of Hall and Madison next to the library.
So it's Boost Mobile.
My business, 40 Acre Enterprises, best known for 40 Acre Soul Kitchen, but also has a development wing, and it's in the cannabis space. I don't know if that's appropriate.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Now we're gonna move on to our community engagement outreach guru over here. This is a question specific to you. Could you tell us a challenge that you ran into during your efforts as the community outreach?
Yeah, one of the challenges was, yeah, just alone getting people to participate in the surveys, you know, people mind, people minds be everywhere, so I had to stay on top of a lot of people to keep, make sure that they participated, that they actually did the surveys, that they did the forms as well, a lot of emailing, a lot of phone calls, a lot of text messaging. I had to text, I know people's names by heart, just in numbers and all that. They don't even know it's just from how much I tried to contact them. But I would say that was the biggest challenge, though, just getting people to fall through with the whole process that we have for them to be able to get their opinions, for everything, their input and all. So that was the biggest challenge, just staying on top of them. That was about it.
Yeah, what was the highlight?
Huh?
I'm gonna add a caveat. What was the highlight?
The highlight of it?
Yeah.
Of the whole process? Actually seeing people response to what we was doing, like, people telling me, this is a great thing, like with the surveys. When the surveys started, people was hit me in the inbox right when it got done. Like, that was one of the best things I ever been a part of. Like, I needed that. It's a female that I know named Ebony that participated, and she ended up being on the news because of this or whatever. And that was a great. She was very thankful and grateful for that opportunity as well. Just being able to give people the opportunity to be able to voice their opinions and say what they want to say, raw, whatever. Don't hold it back. That's the main thing I would tell all of them. Like, say what you look. Don't think you look. Say how you feel. Don't hold nothing back. Keep it real, all the way real. So that was the dopest thing I would say. And seeing the, how people was definitely happy about being able to say what they wanted to say, and knowing that it was gonna matter, and knowing that it was gonna come into fruition through the art and everything. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
I want to add to that. I think that so many times when the community is reached out to give input on something, there's never, I won't say never, but a lot of the time, there isn't follow through on that. And so it's a lot of, give me this, give me this, give me this, and we can promise you this. And the promise doesn't come. And there's also no compensation. And one of the biggest things, Fable, throughout this entire project was making sure that everyone was compensated the right way for whatever it was that they were inputting into that project. And that is huge in terms of not only paying people for their time, but also making sure that they're feeling valued and that they do matter. And that's a big part of our culture and our neighborhood is not feeling valued for so long and not feeling seen. And I think a big part of this project was making sure that everyone was heard and seen and paid.
Thank you. Thank you for adding too. The next question is for you, so I'm glad you grabbed the microphone. So we're living in a pandemic, right? That's why most of you have masks on. So tell us all about the pivot that you had to do that took place during this project, if there was a pivot that you had to do.
I think the biggest one was the listening sessions being virtual. As you all have seen, technology is not the best thing, and I think that in the last, year and a half or however long it's been, it's like all of this technology use and everyone trying to figure it out, and whether it's like, make sure you're like muting everybody and you hear people's crazy kids in the background, or people just being crazy and they don't know they're not on mute. So that was like, it was funny to navigate. I feel like that was like the biggest thing. Was there?
I gotta give a huge shout out to Candy in general. When we were originally reaching out and trying to do this whole project, it took a lot of like mentorship and guidance. Like I have a few different mentors that help, but also when I was talking to the UICA who helped us draft this original National Endowment of the Arts proposal, they were like, "You need a project manager." And I was like, "What do you mean we need a, I'll be managing all the time. What you mean? I manage all day." But then I was like, no, I really need a project manager. And when I got connected with Candy, I was like, oh my gosh, I've really needed a project manager. But the amount of pivots that Candy probably had to do was a million because she's working with artists and creatives. And if you've ever worked with artists and creatives, especially a whole organization of them, there's a million pivots that you have to do. But Candy was very much like the glue that held together everything and made sure that the way our sides of the brain work stayed fluid and stayed moving, made sure that there were, again, working with Juana, that there was a lift on the day for every single artist, working with Juana to make sure all the paint was ordered, making sure that a project this big, all of the art almost finished at the exact same time. Again, everything moved so smooth every step of the way. All the listening sessions were on time. People getting paid on time. Again, every step of the way because Candy's brilliance and organizational capacity. So, yeah, that was her.
Yeah, you can clap for that one.
Thank you. I do want to say it's funny because every time I would, like we have obviously like our check-ins, Fable and I would have my, like, okay, this is what we're going to go over. Like, this is my to-do list right now. And I would be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I know I'm going to leave this space open because he's going to have all of these 5 to 6 new ideas. And he's going to be like, but he presents it in a way, he's like, and what if we, da-da-da-da-da, and he hypes you up and he makes you feel passionate. And then you're like, yes. And then after the call, I'm like, okay, now I have like 15 other things to do besides what I already had, but it was dope. It was all worth it.
Awesome. Sounds like you have a great dynamic going on, though. So this next question is for everybody, these next 3 questions, and then we're going to close out and go to the audience. What was everyone's favorite moment of the project? And not everyone has to answer, but if you have a favorite moment that sticks out. Yeah.
It kind of goes back to what you guys were saying, the pivoting. Like you said, a lot of things went smooth. There was a couple things that was a little rough patch. You had to deal with building owners, and so from seeing the switch or the pivot from Marcel to get it done, to get it going, was kind of amazing to see. There was one that I was just like, oh, we give up. It's over. This one's not going to happen. This guy's not going to go for it. And he just kind of made a plan, stuck with it, and got it done.
Yeah, I'll say my favorite part of everything was when I went to the activation for the one at the Old Goat, because I had my son with me and be able to show my son, because I've been telling him about the project since it had started and everything. So seeing his reaction to everything, and after that, taking him to all the other murals that when I had time to, just seeing the look on his face, to see, how much art can express, our voices and everything. That was probably my favorite thing, to show him what's possible through art, and through people, coming together to do something, and showing him that it's important to be, involved in the community, being able to show him that example, that was the dopest thing to me.
For me, so part of the listening sessions, one of them was with students at Ottawa Hills High School who participated in the Writing to Right Wrongs program. Like I said before, I love hearing youth. I think a lot of times we wave teenagers off as kind of like they don't know what they're talking about, or they don't view the world the right way, or they're too young. And just to hear their thoughts and ideas behind what this could be and how they view the world and how they view their neighborhood was so inspiring.
Awesome. Oh, one more.
I think my favorite part would be just because, like, as you're painting a mural, you're so close to it. I think the first time I stepped back to like check my progress and to like see it all come together, excuse my language, but I was just like, damn, I did this? Like, what? So yeah, I think that would be it for me.
Yes, you like empowered yourself. Yeah, that's awesome.
I think my favorite part is the fact that we did it. At first, I was like, before this project began, I was like, we need to go after a National Endowment of the Arts grant because Grand Rapids would never let us do a project like this. And then I reached out to a bunch of mentors and they were like, do you know how much work that takes to do an NEA grant? And then I reached out to some friends and I was like, hey, we're going to go after this. And then they were like 50 pages of grant later. They were like, this is miserable. But 60, but we did it. But then afterwards, at the end of that, it was like you have to get local funds to match it. And we went to foundations, and they were like, ask for more, and we'll match it. And then they said, ask for more, and we'll match it. And all my mentors are like, you know that these places never like overfund, right? You never ask for one amount, and then they give you more. But they did, and they did, and they did. And we got to see how different organizations work and what their values were and what some of these entities work that make things move. And it really made me realize that the way that philanthropy works in Grand Rapids and the way that a lot of our city's culture is because certain people get put in positions to make decisions and then they keep it feeling how it is. But going through this project, we did like this huge listening session with the RJ Woods Foundation, and they cold called a bunch of people as this project was going on, and random Grand Rapidians were saying that your neighborhood shouldn't be a barrier to success. Random Grand Rapidians were stopping by these murals and saying like, that's what I want, that makes me feel great, honking at artists, stopping, talking to them. And I realized that, again, if the right people are put in the right positions, if the right teams come together to do this work, that you can change the culture, and that we can and we could have been making this the Grand Rapids that we wanted it to be for a long time, but we've let people be in positions for so long that it's stifled that growth.
He set the bar high on that one, so. But you guys ever have like a friend that doesn't show up on time or you know, something like that? They always say they're gonna do something, they're gonna start this business and they don't do it. Well, it was, for me, I guess one of my favorite moments was talking to Marcel about the project before it was anywhere near anything. And I'm just sitting there like, you know, when you listen to somebody, you like, yeah, okay. That's crazy, you know? So, you know how that is. And I'm very, you know, I believe in potential. Like, I don't ever, you know, shortcoming or think that nobody's able to do anything. I believe in everybody. So it just watching him every step of the way developing, we just kept meeting and he's telling me like, all right, this is happening. I'm like, oh shit, he really doing this now. You know? So just watching it from being conceived from nothing to being done with it now is just like, that's big for me. That's my favorite part of it. And then of course the second thing is getting paid. So everybody got paid, and that was big for me, like just seeing everybody get paid. Your check is in the mail, man.
Never mind, I thought it died. But it's alive. Okay, thank you, awesome answers. The next question is, how do you see the future of the 49507 area? And anyone can answer again.
Bright and hopefully artistic and where people are getting paid. I think to jump on to that, I think one of the exciting things about this piece too from the beginning was it wasn't only a model of empowering local artists to have their views throughout their neighborhood. It was a way to show that there could be an economic model built around it as well, and that artists should be paid a living wage. So I think hopefully this is the beginning to where we can uplift the arts in a way that also gets artists paid and not just viewed.
what we really hope to make out of all of this, and you all being here, you're given an assignment. Please go to the Diatribe table, get these maps, get these booklets, but also please go see the art, go view the art, take a picture of it, and post it online. But we're hoping, we want our zip code, we want the 49507 to get zoned to be a multicultural arts district. That's really what we're fighting and what we want to push towards, and that we're planting seeds with you all now, is we want to make our neighborhood look like we live here for years and years and years to come. People in the listening sessions had brilliant ideas. In one of the listening sessions, somebody was like, what if we put those lilies, the orange lilies that are Ottawa colors, the orange ones, what if we had those in the fronts of like everybody's yard facing the street? Like, what if you came to our neighborhood and that's what you saw, and like you knew where you were at? And like, again, people had so many great ideas, and it's like we can take these ideas and come to life. If we could have our zip code be a multicultural arts district, we could have young photographers doing photography projects and young videographers doing documentaries about our neighborhood. Like, we could do so much art out of our neighborhood, and that's really what we want to come to life. A lot of people in our listening sessions, they said, man, you remember back in the day we used to have all these block parties? And again, if we make our zip code a multicultural arts district, if we can get those funds, we could go back to having block parties. We could do the things that people want to do and want to see that would activate our business districts in exciting new ways, and that would raise equity in people's homes, you know, and like, again, like so many people would win. And that's really what we want. And we're hoping that our zip code can become the first arts district, the first multicultural arts district in our city. And that's really my major hope for where things go.
Yeah, yeah. Woo, clap to that. Or snap, or both. Awesome. All right, we have one more question. How will you, as an individual or a business owner, artist, project manager, community outreach, executive director, all your titles, how will you carry this experience forward in your own life or career?
I'll just use it as an example that ain't no excuses. If you put your mind to it, you can get it done. And that with like-minded people, anything is possible. It's just motivation, inspiration to think big and go for what you want in life, you know. Because I never thought I'd be part of something like this, and now I'm optimistic about everything now, you know. So, yeah, that's what I'll take from it.
For me, I would say the same. I always preach, if someone else is doing it, you can too. And I try to instill that in my kids. And I think this is like a huge, like all of these murals are just like, can be a reminder of that. Like if you have a vision, if you have a dream, like you get the right people behind you and you have the passion for it, it can get done.
I would say remember to send the elevator back down. To keep that door open for the next person, because as an illustrator, I get lots of opportunities. I can't take them all, but I'm sure going to pass them off to Black and brown artists.
Is it on? Oh yeah. I just want to be. I feel like moving forward, I want to be a part of more of these things, even if I'm just helping out and helping artists feel confident. I think that's big for me. Is always wanting to pass down knowledge. So if I can help teach any future artists how to go about, you know, any artwork they put in the community, I would love to be a part of that, and also to be a part of it myself. So it's more that needs to be done. There's more messages that needs to be said. There's more love to be spread. So that's just, you know, that's my bar right there. You next. You know, I know you heard that line right there.
I think I always say this phrase that our support needs to be intentional. And you guys are here, you're intentful with that. And I also, when I first heard of the project, I was so eager, and I kept telling him, hey, what about here? And I could kind of tell that he was like, yeah, maybe, until we got the right one. I'm always, especially if it comes to Marcel and Diatribe, that I want to be definitely intentful with my support in any way I can be.
One of the things that I am gonna take with me is, so oftentimes in a city like Grand Rapids, you can create the best thing in Grand Rapids, right? A lot of young, hungry people can come up with these ideas that are the best here. I believe that. We have the talent, we have the skills. But I love thinking about how do we create something that's the best everywhere. And again, there's a component of this project that is unlike any art project that I've ever seen. And one thing that makes this project mean so much more to me is that it was the first time I've ever been able to collaborate with my wife on a project. And if you know my story, you know why that means a whole lot. But when you scan the QR codes, it brings you into a virtual reality version of the neighborhood, and it shows you how the area was zoned in the 1930s. And some of our areas, for example, if you're by 40 acres, which was an area that was redlined, it looks like it hasn't had investment for 90 years. And it's to show people that when you go to another mural across town and you scan it, it's like, oh, this is a blue area. Wow, look at this really energetic business district. You can see that it's a mirror of the investment that has been received. So we really want this to serve also as a call to action to the city, to the powers that be, that we need to double down, triple down, quadruple down on investing in some of these areas if we're gonna get anywhere close to being equitable with how our neighborhoods and how our community continues to grow. But I'm gonna take with me the joy of working with somebody I love on something that I'll be able to look at and remember for forever.
Thank you, thank you. We are done with all of my questions, but we have 5 minutes. I know it's 8 o'clock, so if you have to leave, that's okay. But 5 minutes for Q&A.
If you are going to run too, please make sure that you get the handouts and see the diatribe table and get your little booklet, because they're very expensive to make, so we definitely want to make sure everybody receives one.
Yes, please take flyers, please take pamphlets and booklets. And if anyone has any questions, we'll open it up for a Q&A.
Oh, go ahead, start.
I'll let a young lady go first. Okay. First off, I'd love to do this first. Thank you. 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 And I mean that sincerely for so many other people who may not be here to be able to vocalize that. First, myself, I'm born and raised in Grand Rapids, well-traveled, entrepreneur, budding myself, fresh back to the city. I've experienced everything from racism all the way up to being to a point where I can actually start feeling liberated. Moving back here, I've lived down south, numerous different countries, different places, and I've seen so many people of different African descent, Hispanic descent, not excluding or trying to be in any way drawing a line to where other people aren't included, but has to speak on that in particularly because I've seen them thrive, be business owners, do everything in every facet of business besides Grand Rapids. Knowing that I'm living in Michigan, which is a predominantly racist state, I've been on the receiving end of that since I've been back, you know, living in a city where I'm not naive to the fact that where they're trying to Caucasian wash the city. So being a person that's an entrepreneur, I'm fighting against every wave that's in the city. So being able to see those murals was so inspiring, and put so much inspiration inside myself as an artist and a budding entrepreneur myself, because I can actually start looking at things of people who actually are residents in the city, who actually are the foundation of what it is, not being exclusive to anybody of any other nationality, and no disrespect in that. But I am burnt out and tired of it. I go downtown, I get racial slurs put towards me, or different things that I'm doing, and I'm not a racial person in the least bit. I fought in combat the whole nine, but that means nothing at this current moment. I want to say thank you for the history that you guys are making. I'm all about doing things and being a part of things that's bigger than me, because we live a minuscule second in history. Our time is soon up, others coming. But being able to leave echoes in time and different things and footprints and throughout the city to be able to inspire the next ones that's coming. And being influential in that is a blessing. It seems so small, and I don't know if people actually see how monumental the situation is, because this isn't a city where I would thought I would ever see something like this transpire. So I definitely understand what you're saying, being that it's owned by different certain families and the disrespect that they show even on the government level and representing our city. And I don't mean to overtalk it, but man, blessings. I'm open to it. I got different things I'm doing as well. I look forward to, I take the tag. You guys read, you tag me, you say it's on us, and I'm gonna be honest, I can't wait to see what I can do to actually leave and add to that. Blessings to you.
Peace and love. My question is for Fable. I guess I wonder, I've heard you talking about this project for a long time, just from the beginning, the inception. And so the intentionality that you had, making sure that you were able to connect so many different types of people to this project and actually use your grant funding in a way that activated us. What's your connection to that intention, and how come, I guess 2 questions. What's your connection to the intention, and why do you think it's so hard for other organizations or executive directors to do the same thing with the funds that they get?
Man, all my life I've been real poor, you know? In all of my life, probably until the last couple years, I've been full-time with my art. And it is hard to make a living as an independent artist here. If you're an artist or creative, like, you know, it is hard. Everything is free. Nobody's gonna compensate you, especially what you're worth. I can go to Detroit and get shows, and people are gonna pay me 3 times more than they're gonna pay me here in Grand Rapids, which makes it hard for you not to wanna move. And I love it here, and I was like, man, I wanna try to compensate people the way I've always been wanted to be paid, you know? And being poor, you know what it feels like. I remember when I've gotten certain checks for certain amounts, and I was like, yeah, that's it. And I wanted people to feel that. And I wanted to pay young people for speaking. I remember the first time I really got paid, I was probably in my 20s, and I won a poetry slam, and I had like $175, and I thought I was rich. I was like, if I do 5 of these shows a month, I'm paying rent, baby, what? Hey! So to be able to pay young people again and show them like how valuable they are. And also to, now this machine is growing so big to where it's like, how many artists can we pay? How many people can we get to move to our neighborhood and to live in our neighborhood? And how many people can we break bread with? And the bigger we grow, the more bread we can break. It's just hunger. I crave it. I get really excited for it. I love that. I love spreading the love around. I love creating something that will hopefully continue to pay people longer than I'm here. And that's why I gravitate to that.
Okay, so the second part is, why do you think other executive directors or people who are in the nonprofit sector have a difficulty conceptualizing how important it is to pay artists and other people? I know times running low, but this is important.
I guess the short of that is, again, I've been poor. A lot of executive directors don't know what it is to be poor, so they don't know what it is to compensate people well. I've been locked up, right? There's a lot of different life experiences that I've had that I guess kind of changed the way that I look at the work. I've joined a lot of committees and boards. I've sat on a lot of different things, again, that weren't paid. So I was like, again, how do we pay people to be a part of our listening sessions? How do we pay people to do all this? It's again, there's so much money out there that, again, I mean, there's just no reason not to, you know? Yeah.
Can I add to that question?
I want to add. Let me add first.
I'll let you add first.
Okay, so I can kind of give a different answer because I work for myself, and I don't got no funding besides, you know, the people that pay me. So I think a lot of times, I'm not an executive director, but I've worked very close in hand with a lot of nonprofits and a lot of executive directors, and there is so much fear. There is so much fear behind the money that you get and what they tell you to do with it.
Yeah.
And not taking the plunge and saying, you're giving me this money, it's because you trust me. And that's how I lead the work that I do and my consulting agency. If you're paying me, it's because you trust me for my work, and this is what's gonna happen. And a lot of times I think, part of my project management in this was kind of making sure that people felt good and having, those mental, like, it's okay, we gonna do it, we got this. And, sometimes I think Fable would have, like, what do you think about this? Like, is this, yep, do it. If this is the intention, if this is your passion, if this is really what you wanna set forth with these dollars, then that is what you're gonna do. And if they don't give it to you again, that's fine. Guess what? You will find someone else who will fund that, because you will be reaching out to that person and saying, like, hey, this they're doing what I have money and I want, what I want to see with my money. And so if those funds are taken away, that's fine. There's money somewhere else to get it. So there should never be any fear behind making your decisions.
Thank you. I'm not gonna add. You're not gonna add? Are you sure? Well, okay, fine. As an executive director, yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
See, thank you. One more question? Anybody else? Or a comment? Yeah.
So this goes back to the why, but, Fable, you started with the neighborhood didn't look like the people who live there, and how do we make it look like the people who live there? And so, can you just expand on just a little bit about why that's important? Because I think it sends a message to the people that live there and the people who don't.
Yeah, I think when you guys are going around to see all the art, pay attention to the neighborhoods that you're in and pay attention to what's going on. There's a business owner who couldn't be here tonight because of a family emergency, but there's a dynamic woman named Angelica who owns one of the businesses, La Casa de la Cobija. And she is a blanket to the community. She works day in and day out to make sure the people around her business are taken care of, and she is a wild steward of her community. When we did the mural activation, unfortunately, I couldn't be there, but I was being sent all these videos and pictures of the event, and I got told that Angelica gave me these incredibly nice words in this speech. But when I listened to Angelica talk about our community, when I listened to her talk about her business corridor, she's like, I can hear people playing music. I can see people dancing. When I think of like Burton and Eastern, I can see the block parties in my head. When I think of South Division, I can hear the music in my head. When I see Garfield Park and MLK, I'm like, man, why don't we bring the roots here? Why don't there's so many things that I can see doing that I know people will love. And again, it's like, I guess when you're a poet, when we're talking to a lot of these young people, we're saying, write the world that you want to see. And it's like, I can see it, And when I talk to the people around me, they can see it. And they're like, why isn't it here? And then it's just like creating it. And I think when it comes to, again, making the neighborhood look like the people who live here, that's a quote from Esan. Again, for years, black and brown folks have lived here, and also really well-meaning white folks. A lot of the white folks that I talk to in the neighborhood, the reason that they love the neighborhood so much is because it's diverse, because it's vibrant. That's why they love the neighborhood. And it's important that we preserve that. And the only way that we preserve that is continuing to litter the culture everywhere. And I think that it will make our city better. If you go to Philly, there's certain districts that you have like predominantly minority-ran business districts. If you go to New York, same thing. You go to Las Vegas, same thing. Chicago, same thing. And that's the one thing that we have in Grand Rapids and that we need to be cognizant of, because it's gonna make us a better city the more we develop and pour into that. And it's gonna give us an identity that we don't have and that I feel like Grand Rapids is really searching for.
Thanks.
So we're gonna wrap up then there, and feel free to take the pamphlets, the books, more food as well. There's extra food. Thank you all for coming here.
Also,
one last final.
if you guys don't know, there's artist tables. Go see these artist tables. Octavia has a table. Esan has a table. We have shirts for sale if you want to buy stuff. But please, please, please come see us. Come check us out. Thank you guys for coming out. I love and appreciate you all.
Thank you.